The spotted hyena does not have a king. It does not need one. What it has is stranger, older, and in many ways more sophisticated. A society built on rank, memory, inheritance, and alliance. A social world where power is not simply taken by the strongest body, but maintained by those who can hold relationships together over time. For centuries, we called this animal a scavenger, a coward, a thief at the edge of the savanna, a laughing villain in stories that were never really about the animal itself. We were wrong. Not about one detail, about almost everything. And the most revealing part of this story is not only what the hyena is, it is how long it took us to see it clearly.
Start with the image most people think they know.
A hyena arrives at a carcass. It feeds. A lion approaches. The hyena backs away. That scene, repeated in nature films, cartoons, myths, and casual language, has done more damage than almost any single fact could repair. Because it shows the end of the story and invites us to mistake it for the beginning. What the camera often does not show is the chase before the carcass, the distance covered, the coordination, the exhaustion of the prey, the work. Spotted hyenas are not merely scavengers. They are highly capable hunters. In some ecosystems, they kill much of what they eat themselves. They also scavenge when the opportunity appears, as any intelligent carnivore would. The mistake was not that hyenas scavenge. They do. The mistake was believing that scavenging was the essence of them. In reality, the relationship between lions and hyenas is far more complicated. Both hunt, both steal, both defend, both retreat when the balance of force turns against them. A hyena that backs away from 6 lions is not confessing weakness. It is reading the room. A single animal cannot hold a carcass against a coalition larger than itself. And that distinction matters. Because in the life of a spotted hyena, power is almost never just a question of strength. It is a question of who stands with you. The second source of the myth is much older than film. In medieval European bestiaries, books that describe animals as moral symbols as much as living creatures, the hyena was not treated as an ordinary predator. It was described as unnatural, unstable, a creature that changed sex, imitated human voices, and belonged somewhere outside the clean order of the world. That fantasy did not come from nowhere. Female spotted hyenas have external reproductive anatomy that, at a glance, can resemble that of males. For centuries, from ancient writers onward, this led people to imagine hermaphroditism, monstrosity, confusion, as if the animal's body were a mistake that needed a moral explanation. It was not a mistake, and it was not hermaphroditism. Female spotted hyenas are female. Males are male. But the female body in this species is unusual in ways that still challenge easy explanation. Females are typically larger than males. They are socially dominant over males. Their external genital anatomy is highly modified, and their development is influenced by a complex hormonal environment that scientists have studied for decades without reducing it to one simple cause. This is important because the anatomy is not the whole story. It is the visible edge of a deeper evolutionary pattern, a species in which female competition, reproductive cost, and social dominance have shaped the body itself. To understand why female dominance matters here, you have to begin with the cost of motherhood. A spotted hyena mother invests heavily in her young.
her milk is extremely rich. Nursing can last a long time. Cubs are born into a competitive world, and the first battles of status begin early. This does not make the species cruel. That is a human word. It means that life in a hyena clan is shaped by pressure from the beginning. Pressure over food, rank, access, survival. And under that pressure, strength matters. But strength alone is not enough. That is the twist. You might expect that in a species where females are larger, more muscular, and more aggressive than males, dominance would be simple. The bigger animal wins. But spotted hyena society is not that simple. Again and again, field studies point towards something more subtle: social support. A hyena does not rise or remain secure only because of the force in its jaws. It depends on allies, on kin, on who comes when conflict begins, on who remembers the past well enough to choose a side in the present. In a hyena clan, power is not a crown. It is a network. A spotted hyena clan can be enormous for a carnivore, sometimes numbering dozens of individuals, and in some well-studied populations, reaching more than 100. But it is not a pack in the simple sense. It is a fission-fusion society. Animals split into smaller groups, reunite, separate again, meet at dens, kills, borders, and resting places. No one sees everyone all the time, and yet the social order remains. Inside that order, rank is not improvised from scratch every morning. It is inherited. The daughter of a high-ranking female is born into a world already arranged around her mother's position. She grows up near allies who know that position, reinforce it, and often extend its protection to her. She does not have to invent power. She is introduced into it. Males live a different story. When they reach sexual maturity, they usually leave the clan of their birth. They enter a new clan as outsiders, without inherited rank, without maternal allies, without a history that protects them. They arrive low. And then slowly, carefully, sometimes over years, they try to become tolerated, then familiar, then useful, then accepted. In human language, we might be tempted to call this politics, but that word may be too narrow. It is older than politics. It is social life before law, status before institutions, inheritance before writing. Long-term studies of spotted hyenas have used a word that sounds almost human: dynasties. Not because hyenas have kings or courts, they do not, but because rank can persist through female lines across generations. High-ranking females often gain better access to food, reproduce more successfully, and leave daughters who inherit not only their place in the hierarchy, but the social relationships that help make that place real. This is what makes the system so powerful. It does not need a written rule. It does not need a throne. It does not even need every individual to understand the whole structure. It only needs memory, repeated interaction, and enough animals willing to behave tomorrow according to what they learned yesterday. A dynasty, in this sense, is not a palace. It is a pattern that survives the individuals who carry it. To hold a society like this together, a hyena has to know more than where food is. It has to know who is calling, who is close, who is dangerous, who is related to whom, who has helped before, who might help again. And here, the sound most people misunderstand becomes one of the most important parts of the story. The famous hyena laugh is not laughter in the human sense. It is not comedy. It is not madness. It is information. Studies of hyena vocalizations suggest that their calls can carry cues about individual identity, age, and social status. Long-distance whoops can be individually distinctive. Giggles can change with rank and age. To another hyena, these sounds are not noise. They are signals. A voice in the dark can update the map. Not a map of land, a map of relationships. Who is here? Who is stressed? Who is subordinate? Who may need support? Who may be vulnerable? This is why the laugh matters. The sound we turned into a symbol of ugliness or stupidity may be one of the tools that allows a complex society to function in darkness, distance, and uncertainty.
And then there is cooperation. In one set of experimental studies, spotted hyenas were given tasks that required two animals to coordinate their actions at the same time to obtain a reward. They did not need human training to understand the basic problem. They adjusted to one another. They learned. They succeeded. And in some comparisons, they performed more smoothly than chimpanzees placed in similar cooperative situations. This does not mean a hyena is smarter than a chimpanzee. That would be the wrong conclusion. Intelligence is not a ladder with humans at the top and every other animal arranged below us in order. It is a set of solutions shaped by the problems a life has to solve. Chimpanzees are brilliant at many things. Hyenas are brilliant at something very specific, living inside a competitive society where survival depends on knowing when to fight, when to wait, when to call, when to join, and when to let another body stand beside yours. Their intelligence is not abstract. It is social. It is tactical. It is built for a world where no individual is ever only an individual.
Now bring the pieces together, not as a list of strange facts, as a single system. The female body is shaped by an unusual evolutionary history. The clan is organized through female lines. Rank is inherited, but it must still be lived, recognized, and defended through relationships. Males leave and begin again at the bottom. Calls carry identity and status through the night. Coalitions determine outcomes that teeth alone cannot settle. And the animal we dismissed as a scavenger turns out to be navigating one of the most intricate social worlds known among carnivores. There is nothing accidental about this. The body, the voice, the hierarchy, the alliances, the memory, they belong to the same story. A story about power without a king. Power that does not descend from a throne. Power that moves through mothers and daughters, through recognition, through loyalty, through fear, through repetition, through the long, patient work of being remembered.
Somewhere in East Africa tonight, there may be an old female hyena moving through the dark. She is not a queen in the human sense. She has no throne, no command issued by law, no army that belongs to her by title. But her presence changes the behavior of others. You can see it in the way younger animals shift around her, in the way subordinates wait, in the way allies approach, in the way a daughter learns the invisible architecture of the clan before she could ever name it. That daughter is not elected, she is not crowned. She grows into a place that has been prepared around her by birth, by proximity, by memory, by the alliances her mother has maintained. When the mother is gone, the transition may not look like a revolution. It may look almost like continuity. Not because nothing changes, but because the system has been teaching everyone where to stand long before the moment arrives.
For a very long time, we looked at hyenas and saw disorder. Cackles in the dark, jaws in a carcass, a face built, in our imagination, for theft and ugliness. A creature that laughed when nothing was funny. But what we were seeing was not disorder. It was a society whose rules were not written for us. A society without monarchy, without contract, without law in the human sense, and yet with rank, inheritance, memory, punishment, cooperation, and continuity. No king, no court, no constitution. Just individuals who remember. Individuals who recognize one another. Individuals whose power depends, again and again, on whether others will come when they call. That may be the deepest lesson of the spotted hyena. Lasting power is rarely just the power to take. It is the power to remain surrounded, to be recognized, to be answered, to have others decide in the moment that matters that your fight is also theirs. The spotted hyena understood this long before humans built words for it, and we almost missed it because we were watching the lion.
There are other animals whose societies we have misunderstood because we expected them to look like ours. Other forms of order, other kinds of intelligence, other lives running beside us with rules we are only beginning to learn how to read. The next story is already written. Subscribe, and it will find you.